All right, this is not the video that the president had posted on Truth Social, but it is one vantage point. And so this is what we were discussing with Anna Schechter earlier, in which you saw that sort of purple SUV type vehicle. Let's go ahead and watch it again. You see that agent on the left trying to open the driver's side door. She appears to reverse and then accelerate. And at that point, that officer fires. The mayor said at least 2 shots. I hear at least 3 shots, and we know that she suffered a gunshot wound to the head and then crashes the vehicle. Before we go to Anna Schechter, let's go to Ed O'Keefe. I hear that we have him. And Ed, the president posting on Truth Social that the agent is lucky to be alive and is recovering at the hospital.
Yeah. So the president, before Governor Walz began, posted on Truth Social, in essence, responding to what is playing out online and in the streets of Minneapolis, saying in part that the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. He then adds, based on the clip that he posted, it's hard to believe he's still alive. The thing is, in the video clip we've been airing, you can see the officer chase after the vehicle after the shooting. So he was standing at least until moments after that shooting occurred. The president says the situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They're just trying to do the job of making America safe. No other specific response yet from here at the White House to the mayor. Jacob Frey's calls for ICE to leave his city, to the governor now saying that the state is in no more need of federal assistance. The way he said that, though, we don't need anything else from you, is the kind of statement I could see this administration using against the governor later on in some other unrelated incident where they need federal assistance. And the president or someone at Homeland Security is going to say, well, you said you didn't need our help. So let's just see how that plays out in the coming days. Look, obviously, this is a state. This is a governor. This is a subject, immigration enforcement, that has been of great focus here at the White House. This 15-fold increase in DHS's deployment to the state comes amid a federal surge of other resources to investigate, to account for how federal funding is being spent by various social agencies and programs in the state, amid weeks of renewed attention on several years' worth of allegations and charges against people for alleged fraud in misusing state funds or federal funding that helped state and local programs. Among other things, the Medicaid program is checking on recipients in the state. The Labor Department is conducting a targeted review of Minnesota's unemployment program. The Agriculture Department is pushing Minnesota to serve up information on SNAP recipients, although several Democratic-controlled states are suing to block that ask because they're concerned that the information would be used to check the immigration status of SNAP recipients. The Small Business Administration says it suspended nearly 7,000 borrowers amid suspected fraudulent activity. So there's all sorts of federal focus on the state. This enforcement is the most visible, and now obviously one that's going to be subject of great review and grave concern given what occurred. And to hear the governor and his public safety commissioner there call for calm in the coming hours and suggest there are peaceful ways to express opposition and concern and certainly understandable upsetness about what happened there is foreshadowing what could occur should the response in the coming hours become more violent. And it's telling. I don't know if Nicole Skanga has shared this bit here on 24/7, but she pointed out a little while ago that where this shooting occurred is only about a mile from where George Floyd was killed back in 2020. So it's an entire neighborhood inside a city, inside a region and a state that's been reeling for several years because of law enforcement-related activity, because of the focus of this White House on Minnesota, given its Democratic control. And so the emotions there in that neighborhood and in that city, obviously, quite raw. And we'll see how the White House and the federal government responds to it in the coming hours.
And she does point out that there has been a major surge in Minnesota, an influx of 1,500 agents, ICE enforcement and removal operation agents, 650 Homeland Security investigations agents, a 15-fold increase in the usual ICE presence in the region. Ed, I'm curious, based on your knowledge of typical cabinet communication with local and state authorities after something like this, is it unusual that Governor Walz has not gotten a call back yet from DHS Secretary Noem?
Not necessarily in the Trump administration, no. But not knowing her exact whereabouts. It could be that she is traveling or otherwise engaged. She was, remember, she met with and was interviewed by Nicole Skanga in Minneapolis on Monday, or on Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, and she's on the U.S.-Mexico border in South Texas. She was reviewing operations there, given that Homeland Security has a vast array of responsibilities across the country on all sorts of matters. So we'll see if she makes contact with him at some point, or if some other senior federal official does, what that communication is like. This is obviously a really challenging one for both sides, and there's no love lost between the Trump administration, the Trump White House, and Governor Walz, who, of course, has been such a focus of the president's criticism in recent weeks, and the White House quite pleased to hear this week that he decided not to run for re-election, in part saying earlier today that it was clear that he was probably going to lose that, or he realized that he was going to lose that re-election because of this renewed focus on alleged fraud in the state. That came up during the daily press briefing with the press secretary. So we'll wait and hear, and if we get anything on exactly any federal to Minnesota communication, we'll pass it along. And again, we've seen no specific response from the president to the governor and the mayor's calls that they get out of Minnesota. If anything, that might compel them to just double down. We'll see, Lindsay.
O'Keefe, thank you so much.